Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to attack the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, with Ard being returning to school, he's brought to a secluded area, where a girl confesses to him. Not wanting to lead her on, Ard outright denies her confession, offering to be her friend, as he thinks about how multiple other girls have confessed to him as well. Awaiting the girl's response, Ard gets freaked out, when the girl chooses to force herself onto him. But luckily Irina steps in, scaring the girl away. Thanking Irina, Ard instead is given a cold glare, as Irina leaves Ard alone. Cutting to the headmaster, we see him speaking with Professor Jessica. She listens to the headmaster's thoughts on Ard choosing to not attend the upcoming tournament. Although Ard had acquired extra funding from the Queen, the headmaster stated that he wanted to make Ard an instructor at the academy. But since he is considered a commoner, most prestigious and noble authorities would not accept this. Therefore, by having Ard show off his clear superiority, there would be no one refusing to allow Ard to become a teacher. Hearing the headmaster's good intentions, Jessica says she'll deal with the issue. That night, Ard struggles to understand human emotions, especially Irina, who has been quite cold to him lately. All of a sudden, Ginny knocks on Ard's door, wishing to have a word with him. As Ginny enters, she is seen wearing a seductive piece of clothing, which she knows will attract men. Wondering why Ginny is here, Ginny states that she is trying to grow closer to Ard, and that Ard can do anything he likes with her. Cutting to Irina, we see her curled up, regretting how she had glared and scolded Ard earlier, wanting to make it up to Ard. Back with Ard, he questions Ginny further, but is paralyzed, as Ginny activates her succubus's hypnotic spell. Forcing herself on top of Ard, she leans in for a kiss, but suddenly Irina barges in, believing that Ard is alone. Seeing Ginny and Ard in a naughty position, Irina flips out, tossing all sorts of things at Ard, all whilst Ard tries to explain. Seeing Irina flustered, Ginny closes the door, all whilst teasing Irina for her innocent mind. Asking Irina for her reason for being here, Ginny gets Irina to confess her jealousy, seeing Ard spend time with other girls, other than herself. Singling out Ginny, Irina demands a duel, with the winner getting to spend time with Ard, and the loser has to embarrass themselves. As Ginny adds fuel to their duel, Ard interrupts them, demanding that they listen to him, forcing them onto their knees. Scolding them for wanting to fight each other, Ard points out that they are like family, which gets them both to apologize to each other. All of a sudden, Professor Jessica burst into the room, having overheard their conversation. As a compromise, Jessica uses their rivalry as an excuse, suggesting that Ginny and Irina both participate in the upcoming tournament, and the winner will win over Ard's heart. Adding to this, Jessica reveals the headmaster's plan, wanting Ard to use his skills to teach others, as he clearly surpasses all students. But the two girls know that Ard is far too powerful to be restricted to a teaching role, but Jessica mentions how Ard will look very handsome, wearing the teacher's uniform, which convinces the girls to join. With the tournament beginning, we can see a huge crowd gathered, cheering on as the students begin their fights. As special guests, Ard's parents and Irina's father are set to be commentators. Sadly, Ard's father is bored out of his mind, wanting to see something more action-packed. Among the stands, Ard and Olivia watch on, as they both praise the students currently putting on a show. Blurting out the name, Alberto, Olivia mentions how Alberto would love to train some students, but Ard has no idea what she's talking about. Cutting to Irina, we see her psych herself up, as she is finally called to the arena. Passing to a darkened tunnel, she calmly makes her way to the arena, all whilst Ard thinks about if he should pray for her victory, but instead prays for Irina and her opponent to both lose, as he doesn't want to become an instructor if Irina or Ginny win. With the match beginning, Irina is thrown off balance, dodging the opponent's fireball. Spotting Ard in the stand, she sees him praying, believing that he's praying for her victory. Now fired up, Irina makes use of script magic, casting a lightning spell, easily incapacitating her opponent. As she heads off the arena, Irina passes Ginny, who praises her skills. Knowing that they are both capable, they both promise to meet in the finals. As both Irina and Ginny destroy their opponents, they both make their ways to the final, both fulfilling their ends of the promise. Seeing Irina come so far, Olhide is impressed at how much his daughter has grown, curious as to how Ard had managed to reshape his daughter. Now facing each other, both girls ready themselves to show off their skills, but before the match can begin, several hooded men unveil themselves, all simultaneously transforming into demons. Seeing the demons run amok in the arena, Jessica rushes to Ard and Olivia, asking for them to split up and deal with the demons, all whilst Jessica groups up with Irina and Ginny. Wanting to join in, Ard's parents along with Olhide offer to join with the cleanup, all going their separate ways. As Jessica rushes to the arena, Ard notes something off with her movements. Cutting to the arena, we see Irina and Ginny, dealing with the demons that have begun surrounding them. Seeing Ginny in a pickle, Irina helps her out, stating that they can finish their duel, once everyone is safe. Before they can gather their thoughts, a mysterious golem appears, crystallizing its body, as it slowly makes its way towards the girls. Before the golem can lay its hands on the girls, Olhide intervenes, casting a powerful wind spell, lifting the golem up into the air, whilst shredding the crystals to pieces. With the threat subdued, Olhide drops his guard, giving Jessica the perfect opportunity to sneak up from behind and impale him with her fingers. Dropping her act, Jessica reveals her true identity, Elzard the frenzied king of dragons. Turning to Irina, Elzard demands that Irina come quietly, but Ginny refuses, firing projectiles, which do nothing, with Elzard's barrier now projected. With a flick of her finger, Elzard knocks Ginny down, preparing to kill her, but Irina stops her. Offering herself up, Irina is able to save Ginny's life, but is unfortunately taken away. With everyone cleaning up the remaining demons, Olhide is brought to the infirmary, where everyone is told about Irina's capture, via the frenzied king of dragons, Elzard. Legend has it that Elzard was almost able to destroy the world hundreds of years ago, making it as evil as demons and the evil gods. With the headmaster wondering why Irina of all people were targeted, Ard changes the topic, stating that they can ask questions later, but their priority as of this moment is to rescue Irina. Coming up with a plan, Olhide and Ard's father bring Ard to a sacred treasury, giving Ard full access. Privately chatting, Ard's father wonders why he's keeping Irina's secret from Ard, but Olhide mentions how Irina was always shy, having locked herself away from others, fearing that her secret may surface. Knowing that Ard is Irina's only true friend, Olhide is afraid that Ard may abandon her, forcing Irina to live an isolated life once again. Elsewhere, we see Irina dreaming of the day Ard befriended her, having promised to be her friend forever. But when Irina reveals her secret to Ard suddenly vanishes, as Irina is woken up, realizing that she is bound in a mysterious cage. Struggling to break free, Irina is called by Elzard, taunting Irina, as Elzard mentions Irina's sacred blood. Wondering how Elzard knows about her secret, Elzard unveils a creature that had been created with the flesh of an evil god, intending to feed Irina to the creature. By doing so, Elzard is able to complete a ritual, allowing her to summon forth an evil god, intended to wipe out the world, ridding the world of positive energy and friendships. Apparently, this was what Elzard had attempted years ago, but had failed. Stating that Ard and the others will stop Elzard, Elzard gives Ard props, but she threatens to reveal Irina's secret to Ard, which makes her ball up, fearing that Ard will leave her. As Elzard begins the ritual, we cut to Ard, all suited up with sacred gear. Before he leaves, Ginny runs to Ard, apologizing for letting Irina be taken, but Ard reassures her it wasn't her fault, and that it would be best for her to stay here. Recounting how Irina had protected her, Ginny begins to break down, but Ard comforts her, showing off his confidence, as he states that he'll rescue her in no time, and when she's back, Ginny can tell Irina how much she means to her. Back with Irina, we see the giant flesh creature slowly make its way towards Irina, all whilst several lower-tier monsters watch. Before the creature can attack Irina, it is suddenly vaporized, as Ard makes his triumphant entrance. Apologizing for being late, Ard slowly approaches the creatures, announcing that he'll slaughter them all. Just like that, Ard casts 9 simultaneous spells, forcing Elzard back, whilst killing off most of the lower-tier creatures. Rushing to free Irina, she jumps into Ard's arms, but they are distracted by Elzard, who grows excited, having found someone powerful to fight. On top of that, Elzard reveals Irina's secret, stating that she has royal blood, that of an evil god. Cutting to Olhide and Ard's father, we hear Olhide speak his thoughts on their whole situation. In the past, evil gods have been hated, and since Olhide's family is a descendant of these evil gods, they've been forced to hide their identity, even though their family are the true royals that should govern the kingdom. Instead, they rule from the shadows, but since Irina is mixed in with the issue, it was bound that she would run into trouble. Back with Ard, we see him brush off Elzard's remarks, as he does not care about Irina's bloodline. Even if she were an evil god herself, he has personally seen the good deeds that she's done, and that is enough to stand by her. Enraged that Elzard would think he would discriminate because of someone's race, Ard readied his spear, prompting Elzard to shoot a lightning spell. Blocking the spell with his spear, Ard reveals that the sacred spear can nullify any lighting magic, but this doesn't faze Elzard, as she simply shoots a laser instead. Seeing Elzard's cocky mood, Ard sets up a trap, waiting for Elzard to land, only to consume her with fire. With the fire doing little to no effect, Elzard continues to show off her greatness, but this prompts Ard to call out Elzard's carefree nature. Ard knows that Elzard does not fear death, having never fought a tough battle in her life, but he also knows that her lack of fear is her greatest weakness. Tossing his spear at Elzard, Ard launches Elzard into a faraway mountain, turning to check on Irina. Believing that the battle is over, Irina is told to be careful, as Ard knows that Elzard is still alive. Having transformed into her dragon form, Elzard begins channeling a potent beam, forcing Ard to project a barrier. Asking Irina to look away, Ard gets serious, beginning to recount a long spell. As Elzard fires her beam, it begins tearing away at Ard's barrier, but before it breaks through, Ard is able to call forth a mysterious golden woman, who is called Lydia. Suddenly, Lydia transforms into a majestic-looking sword, which Ard grips proudly, as he flies into the sky to challenge Elzard. Soaring through the air, Ard flies after Elzard, all whilst the sword begins guiding Ard, informing him about his surroundings, along with Elzard's movements. With all this information, Ard is able to dodge the projectiles Elzard is launching, allowing him to move around freely. Flying high up into the sky, Ard prepares to counter, shooting powerful golden beams himself, but Elzard dodges, ramming into Ard's blade, whilst mocking Ard and Irina's relationship. Seeing Ard pushed back, Irina calls out to Ard, which gives Ard all the reason to end this. Unveiling his second form, Ard equips majestic armor, whilst converting his hair to white. Seeing Ard transform, Elzard takes the opportunity to launch several projectiles, but Ard has already analyzed them, forcing the projectiles to be redirected right back into Elzard. Scolding Elzard for being so thoughtless, Ard points out how the reason Elzard hates this world is most likely because Elzard herself was not able to make any friends. With Elzard now enraged, both Ard and Elzard begin channeling their most powerful strikes, both releasing it at the same time. With Ard's beam being far superior, we watch as Elzard panics, scared to die. Putting his sword away, Ard returns to Irina's side, checking up on her, as he wishes to remain Irina's beloved friend. Having seen Ard's amazing power, Irina knows that she must grow stronger. Deep in a dungeon, we see a mysterious girl slaying hundreds of powerful creatures, one after the other. Happy to have finally obtained enough strength to fight alongside Lydia, she chooses to finally exit the dungeon, uttering that spending 3 years training may have been overdoing it. Upon reaching the surface, the girl is gobsmacked, not expecting the outside world as she knows, to have changed so much. As she watches carriages pass by, she's almost run over, as she retreats into an alleyway. There waiting in the shadows, a masked figure appears, greeting the girl, known as Lady Sylphie Marheaven. Knowing all about Slyphie's whereabouts, the masked figure praises Sylphie for training for 3,000 years, which surprises Sylphie. But Sylphie holds back her shock, only to learn that time in the dungeon she was training in flows slower than the outside world. As the two walk along a canal, the masked figure acts friendly towards Sylphie, which weirds her out, but the figure uses the opportunity to mention Lydia and Barbados. Knowing that Sylphie would be curious, the hooded figure goes on to explain that Barbados is dead, having chosen to reincarnate and betray his people. As for Lydia, the masked figure refuses to speak about her, stating that if Sylphie wants to know about Lydia, she must confront Demon Lord Barbados's reincarnation, Ard. Cutting to Ard, we see him with Irina and Ginny, all chatting with the headmaster. Knowing that there is an upcoming school festival, the headmaster wants Ard to put on a show some way, but Ard is clearly against it. Offering to have Ard and the girls attend a play, the girls grow excited, as the headmaster suggests that Ard himself should perform, as Ard's name is growing famous, with many wanting to learn of his character. Stopping the conversation, the headmaster hands Ard a scroll, which is a threat, demanding that the headmaster stop the school festival. Although harassment is common every year, Ard points out that the scroll is made of human skin, signed by Lars Al Ghul, which Irina recognizes. Asking that Ard not only put on a show, but also stand guard, the headmaster begs Ard, as he is the only one capable. Before Ard can deny the offer, Irina and Ginny butt in, accepting the headmaster's condition, as they both want the school festival to go on. Asking about other countermeasures, Ard learns that Olivia is tasked with recruiting other students for patrol, but knows Olivia has other intentions. Later that day, Irina and Ginny both brainstorm possible ideas for their play with Ard, but they all watch as Sylphie bursts into the room. Asking every student in sight, Sylphie demands to know where Ard is, but is silenced by Olivia, who scolds her for being immature, even after 3,000 years. With Ard nodding his head in agreement, he accidentally singles himself out, allowing Olivia to reveal to everyone that he is the reincarnation of Varvatos. With Ginny accepting the fact that Ard could be Varvatos reincarnated, Olivia gets interested as well, wondering how Sylphie came to this conclusion. As Sylphie continues to mock Ard for being so cowardice, Irina gets annoyed, standing up for Ard, but Sylphie is distracted, seeing Lydia in Irina. Demanding that Sylphie stop harassing Ard, Irina suddenly challenges Sylphie, which gets Sylphie fired up. Knowing that Irina will stand no chance, Olivia and Sylphie ultimately convince Ard to fight in Irina's place. With the duel starting, Sylphie rushes at Ard, clashing blades as they are both evenly matched. Putting on a spectacle, both their movements are so fast, emitting shockwaves every time their blades clash. Knowing that he must lose, Ard plans to strike with the intent to win, but at the last second will allow Sylphie to win. Seeing Sylphie open, Ard thrust his blade towards her opening, but Sylphie had anticipated this, countering. Before Sylphie's blade can kill Ard, he blows her back, destroying her blade, and ending the duel. Praising Sylphie's growth, Ard suddenly notices Sylphie get back up, refusing to admit defeat. Calling forth a sacred weapon, she unleashes a potent aura, slashing her blade at Ard. Now pissed, Ard blocks the strike, preparing to cut down Sylphie, but Olivia raises her voice, waking Sylphie up from her rage-induced state. Having let her anger cloud her judgment, Sylphie had unintentionally struck the onlookers, which she didn't intend to. Before Sylphie can say anything, Irina intervenes, demanding Sylphie apologize, which reminds Ard of Lydia. Even as Irina comforts Sylphie, Ard sees an exact resemblance with how Lydia and Irina treat Sylphie. With everyone returning to the class, Ard begins a class meeting, discussing how they will all put on a play, with various students offering ideas. After a while, they all realize someone is missing, hearing Sylphie's voice in the hallways. With our trio running to check out the noise, Sylphie is seen shouting at 3 other students, which Sylphie claims to have made fun of, just because she is a commoner. With every word spoken from the cocky nobles, Sylphie grows more and more irritated, but before she can attack them, Irina steps in, scolding the students for being so simple-minded, just because of their status. Turning away from the situation, Ard praises Irina, as he was about to do something similar. Returning to the class, everyone is finally able to agree on a play, with Irina being nominated to play Lydia, Ard as Varvatos, and Sylphie as an evil god. Moving on, Ard points out that each class will be competing on how much income they can generate. Asking for an idea, Ginny suddenly volunteers, stating that a maid cafe is guaranteed to rack in cash. With some drafts in mind, Ginny's first draft is shot down, having been too seductive. With the second draft, the boys are clearly for it, and the girls are clearly against it, but when Ginny mentions how they can use their maid uniforms to seduce Ard, the girls change their minds. Not willing to dress up, Sylphie demands an alternate solution, forcing Ard to come up with a compromise, where only people that volunteer should wear their uniform. Just like that, they begin prep for the festival, all whilst the masked figure watches Ard, threatening to reveal Ard's secret. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like and comment.